All right, everybody, checking this out another time. Mike Roden joining us from K Coliseum. Mike, can you hear us all right?
I can. Got you this time, I think.
Okay, Mike, we got you. Once again, we wanted to mention down at the Amarillo High regional semifinal matchup. This is the against Mansfield Summit, the second or the third straight year that they've matched up in the playoffs. So a familiar matchup for these two teams, and this game will be streamed live. Just in a few minutes here coming up, a little bit of a pregame for TPSN that we decided to do, but a little bit of a pregame show as you're prepared to broadcast that one. The Sandies looking to advance to the regional finals in this one. Mike, so I just want to ask you right off the top, as you again, prepare to broadcast it, will be streamed live. People can go to tpsnsports.com to watch it. But I do want to ask you, what do you expect out of this one? Again, a matchup that at least, of course we know players change every year, but Amarillo High somewhat familiar with, at least from a coaching standpoint.
Yeah, as you said, they've met the last couple of years. Amarillo High has been able to knock off Summit in both of those meetings. But this is a new year, and circumstances change. And here's what I expect. I expect a very close, very competitive ball game. And really, that's what we've gotten in the last two seasons between these two teams. Both teams, again, just kind of reload, it seems like, every year. And so they're back here in the regional semifinal. But, I was looking at these two teams, and, we know what Amarillo High brings to the table. They're obviously very talented and very skilled. One of the best shooting teams I've ever seen that I've covered that I can remember. And hopefully they'll shoot that way again today. But this is also a pretty good shooting Mansfield Summit team, from what I understand. And also they're very athletic. They're gonna challenge the Sandies from an athletic standpoint, and that's kind of what we've seen in the past couple of years. But Amarillo High, hopefully they can shoot the ball well. Hopefully they can play the kind of defense that we've seen them play throughout the course of the season, create some turnovers and turn those into baskets, and then not turn it over against the athletes and their athletic defense from Mansfield Summit. So shapes up, in my opinion, to be just a terrific regional semifinal.
Absolutely, Mike. And, Coach Pillion said something similar just earlier this week at his press conference, saying that he feels this team is the most skilled team he has maybe ever had, with between the passing, the shooting that this team possesses. And people have seen it on the court, and they're so well connected. He mentioned it being also one of the smartest teams he's ever had. What can you say about how well these guys play together on the court?
It really is amazing. And it's funny. We've talked about it throughout the course of the year. Having four coaches' sons in the lineup doesn't hurt anything. So, they're going to have a very high IQ. But it takes talent, obviously, and they've got that. And, you look at what they do well. And I said it earlier in the year, it's hard to find a weak spot on this Amarillo High team. And they've played well. They've shown that in the postseason. Even when they haven't played maybe their top level of basketball, they've still been pretty dominant. And we saw it through the district campaign. And so, I think that Amarillo High has a great chance here at this regional tournament. Wouldn't be at all surprised to see, again, them be able to slip past this Summit team. I don't think it'll be a rout by any stretch of the imagination, but I think that they definitely feel like they can win. And a lot of it is because, as you said, of that team chemistry. These guys have grown up together. They've played together forever. And then you look at the talent that they bring to the floor, and the ability, the smarts, and it all transitions into a really fun basketball team to watch. But we haven't seen them really in this kind of big game situation. So it's going to be really fun to see how they play and if they show any signs of nervousness or anything like that against Mansfield Summit today.
Absolutely. And, I feel like we talk about the coach's son thing. We've talked about it a lot. I've done a story on it. People have mentioned it. But I feel like even still, like we've talked about it to the point where I feel like we're overstating it. But I almost feel like we haven't talked about it enough, because you just can't say enough about how much that really feels like it plays a factor in how they play the game of basketball together. Because, when you talk to a lot of these coaches, across just a lot of high school sports, a lot of them feel fortunate just to have one player like that, just to have one player they feel like is an extension of the coach on the court. And that seems like even, maybe half the teams will have a player like that. To have four is really incredible. And I didn't realize until maybe district play started or a little before district play, how much of an impact it was really going to play, because they all passed the ball so well. You can see each of them seeing the game in the way a coach would, and not really playing selfishly and playing it to win. And it's really fascinating to watch them play that style of basketball and feel like it has to be related, that, you can't have one without the other.
I agree, and it is a factor, and it's, as you said, you're lucky sometimes to have one coach's son, but to have four, and they really reflect it, as you just pointed out. It's fun to watch, and to see them and how talented and fundamentally sound they are out on the court. And so far, I've not seen any of them get flustered or frustrated. They just keep a calm head, and you look at whose children they are. I mean, Tom Brown, the WT men's coach, great coach, of course, and having great success at WT. Benji Hassan, we know what Brendan's doing at Villanova and how great he has been. And then, of course, Braden following in his footsteps. And then, to be the head coach's son, Cooper Pillion, he's grown up in the gym. They all have. So It does make a difference. We can't overstate it, I don't think. It makes a huge difference. Now, again, as they keep going in the playoffs, they're going to run up against some very talented teams, athletically gifted players, and that's what we're going to see here today. But I like the style Emerald High plays. I like the defense. We saw it in the Monterey game. The defense was incredibly good and really propelled them to that win. So hopefully that'll happen here at this regional tournament as well.
And Mike, two final questions for you. First one, both quick. I know we've talked about it a little bit. You believe they have a legitimate chance to win the whole regional tournament, to make it to the state championship, take down Summit, and make it past the regional final as well.
I think they do, and I really think it's kind of the case where any of the four teams could win it. I mean, we're down to that point. I mean, you look at Summit and the record that they have, the teams that they've played, and the athletic style that they play. Obviously, they're good. They belong here. They've been here before. And then on the other side of the bracket, you've got O.D. Wyatt, or Fort Worth Wyatt. And from what I understand, looking at their roster, they have a lot of height, like Amarillo High. There's one player that's 6'11". They have a couple of 6'8" kids, I think, or 1'6'8", 1'6'7". And so that's something that the teams that play wide are going to have to deal with. Chapin is the team that knocked out Paladuro, El Paso Chapin, and they're here. They're back again this year, and they're kind of a staple in the region. Chapin's going to be good year in and year out. They've got great guard play. And so, I think that it's a case where any of the four teams could win it. But, if I'm a betting man, which I'm not, but I'm going to put my money on the Sandies. I like the way they're playing. And I like the way they're coached, and I think hopefully that'll make a difference here this weekend.
All right, Mike, one final thing. As we mentioned, this game streaming live in just 20 minutes on TPSN. People can watch it live, 4 o'clock start time, but not the only game on TPSN tonight. You're going to have some audio broadcasts as well.
Yeah, that's right. Down in Lubbock at Lubbock Christian University, the 4A Region 1 boys tournament, and, of course, Canyon and Randall involved in that. And Lucas Kinsey will call both of those games tonight at tpsnsports.com. And they will be audio-only broadcasts. Those are streamed, by the way, on NFHS. So if you want to pay the subscription price, you can watch. But you'll get a better coverage of the game, in my opinion, from Lucas Kinsey, who does such an outstanding job with his play-by-play and his knowledge of those two teams and his passion for those programs. So, I think Canyon and Randall have legitimate shots at moving on to the regional final. Won't that be fun if that happens? But first things first, they've got to get past their opponents today. But we've got to get ready for Amarillo High and Mansfield Summit here in Wichita Falls.
All right, there we go, Mike. We'll let you go, get all set up. Make sure you get ready for that broadcast. Once again, 4 o'clock TPSN. You can make sure to tune in with Mike Roden on the call. Mike, thanks so much. We'll talk to you again soon. Good luck with the call.
All right. Thanks for having me on, KJ. Appreciate it.
All right. Thank you, Mike. We'll be back with more Sports Drive after the break.